Alright, so I'm running one down tonight. I want to make sure I got this one on video about 42 OPORD briefs and stuff like that, command supply, and I did actually go through all of this, so I was double tapping it for information. Mind the slide here. I was doing some paperwork while I was doing some things, but I want to get this before I get to these generals as far as what this conversational models are about. Now, I did go through all of this one. I'm trying to remember what this one was. Oh, yeah, this was the last one that I watched. I started to go through it here. He's basically talking about these things are basically the same thing. They're different in the way that you have to be careful about what's presented here, but I really wanted to talk about it here because, well, you're going to be dealing with a lot of problems in this situation. But real quickly, I wanted to go through this.
Our next speaker is General David Perkins.
Real quick.
He currently
Now,
serves
I'm going to
as
give
the
you.
commander of the U.S. Army.
I really should be able to tell you a 5-minute conversation if 30 seconds, so or 60 seconds. Go ahead and time me. How to turn ideas into reality. Well, the first thing I can tell you is sigma lambda, E2. This is one of the most important things that you can deal with for environment. There's sergeants, there's sarge mages, there's private first class, there's E1 through E8 on the chessboard and everything else, and you have to know your environment well enough to say, I want this idea that I'm about to do, battle tanks on a topology, to take X, whatever that value may be, given the world's calculus standards and so on and so forth that are going to start to pose what the environment is inside of this. And as you present yourself with, this is what I want to the capstone, in 1 or 2 words, 3 or 4 words, whatever the case may be, go about breaking down all of the E2 moves that go from every trajectory from there. What I mean is, as you begin to say, here's the straight line, this is what I have, this is the environment, or at least what I perceive the environment to be, whether it truly is that or not, is to be determined later. You'll figure that out as you're going through this or checking for resources later. But at these higher command levels, you're going to generally know what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And that would be the first thing about being realistic about what your environment is, what tools, what resources, what you can actually have cost ratios for, and of course the limitations of your unit size to actually do proper inventory on what those things are to really correlate whether we're going to have those things or not. That'd be the first of E2 first moves. Without that, reality is going to break apart in a big time hurry to certain trajectories that you're going for and how to check those trajectories to make sure that they're up to par. As you go through that, you can kind of begin to simulate, alright, so that seems to work good, and the next common system on that would be this. And I'm going to begin to do that system before I stretch out on the T notes, days, weeks, months, years, decades, T30. On this, because at these levels it may be relative, and I'm not exactly sure who the good general is talking to out here in terms of what reality is, but very useful. When we go back and look at the gambit at that point in time and say a gambit is a design, right? Sigma wave function says a design could have what the spooky monster is under the sheets, and it's something under that area for what this trajectory is supposed to be. There's going to be some points in the trajectory where I don't really know if the outcome is going to do that or not, where I'm going to begin to Euler's number that. From there, I have high probability of risk, so we're going to begin to traverse those systems. Now, I don't need to traverse those in their entirety. I just need to know at some point in time off of this build how to renormalize and adjust to that build. Now, from there, the same way you built this straight line or the gambit is the same way you would begin to adjust and gambit that line. Figure out where the high probabilities of risk are in there. Index, I had big success in there. An average level of what I planned the trajectory to be, or loss in costs, as much as a very bad outcome as to what happens next. when you begin to do that, and if you have the free time over a T30, you should be on a straight line to the result, checking the indexes as you're augmenting those things and saying to those things, I'm going to need another step here and another step here. Essentially, this timeline is destroyed. It's no longer going to do it, Thanos. Deadpool come through and killed it, so we don't have to worry about that timeline being a reality. Those costs are not what they're supposed to be, and it'll be easy to determine that, because at that point in time we need a board presentation of who is relative at that number and sigma. The inventory can correlate to personnel in that system. Here you are toy soldiers with a certain degree, correct? Great.
Army Training and Doctrine Command. Previous commands have involved serving as the commanding general of the 4th Infantry Division in Iraq.
That's what all that extra pay was for. A living life of luxury.
Forces.
When I come
Prior
around.
to that, he served as the brigade commander for the 2nd Brigade, 3rd Infantry
Somebody doing
Division
trajectory
mechanized
on you to make
during
sure
the
that
invasion
if
of
this
Iraq,
Euler number got
commanding
out, I had
units
insurance on the
Thunder
safety
Run
plan.
into Baghdad,
That's your ass.
And subsequent to that, stability operations.
Well,
in
at least
support
your ass
of
showing up
Operation
where it's
Iraqi
supposed to
freedom.
be, even if you are a
He has
general.
also had significant leadership
You're not
positions
going to
in
outdo
Europe,
math.
the United
Don't think for a
States, and the
frosty
Middle
second
East.
you're going to
He
outdo
is a West
gravity.
Point grad. In addition to West Point, his formal education